So yesterday morning, IGN ran a Dead Cells review alongside a whole lot of other websites. Last night, a small YouTube channel called Boomstick Gaming ran a video entitled IGN copied my Dead Cells review, what do I do? Where the author essentially went through this review and pointed out a whole lot of very striking similarities to the text of his own review.
Yeah.
As of this morning, that review has been pulled from IGN.
As of last night, even.
Oh, was it pulled last night?
Yeah.
Okay, there's no timestamp on this editor's note. So now instead of the review, there is a note that says, as a group of writers and creators who value our own work and that of others in our field, the editorial staff of IGN takes plagiarism very seriously. In light of concerns that have been raised about our Dead Cells review, we've removed it for the time being and are investigating.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I watched that video this morning, and as when it starts, it's like, but
it's like, it's maybe a bit of a reach, but
the more you watch,
From what I understand, it was this guy's first video review, and the only thing that I can think of.
This is a staffer. This is not a friend.
Yeah, this is a staffer. That was my first thought when I saw this was, they must have freelanced that one out.
Yeah.
So somebody they didn't have a lot of oversight over.
But no, this is a staffer that's done other stuff. But the only thing I can think of is that he was feeling the pressure from his first video review, running behind on that, and just I don't know, it was too easy to just take somebody else's review.
Yeah, but whatever the reasoning, I mean, this is a cardinal sin in the editorial world. There's no walking this back.
Yeah,
that's day one of journalism classes.
I'm gonna say that's a half step short of career ender, right about there.
Yeah. Sure.
If that's how it ends up going down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
there's no and you start to think about well, why would anyone even do that?
Right.
It's not like having an opinion, it ain't hard.
And you're working for the biggest gaming site, and the odds of that person finding
second biggest,
depending on metrics. Sure,
yeah.
I the idea that they would never come back and see this, or
Jesus.
Are you even thinking of? I don't know. I've never plagiarized. I don't know what the thought process is.
or and even because they sent out access to this game has not been hard to come by.
The final version went out shockingly early.
Yeah,
3 weeks ago or something.
I got to roll that back. I plagiarized in 9th grade a report on Marquise de Lafayette in Humanities.
How did it make you feel?
It
felt good.
When I got caught, it was real bad.
Okay, well that seems bad.
Turnitin.com.
Yeah.
Turns out it's not a bunch of bullshit. It works.
Wow. Okay.
I plagiarized when I was in 6th grade. I was late for an assignment, and we had to write a poem or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote the lyrics to Skid Row's 18 in Life.
Nice work.
Okay.
How'd that go for you?
They kept it in my folder as a really good example of writing, and they would give that folder back to you year after year to see how you've progressed, and it's that's what I wrote.
You should tell Skid Row that your teacher really liked it.
They loved it.
That child blew a child away. I mean, it's a tragic tale.
Yeah.
Ricky was a young boy.
It's deep stuff.
I know.
Was there just some deadline looming? Because the game went out weeks ago.
Yeah.
As someone who has
access for a while, which I know is not the final version, but you can get impressions going. And
so then you start to. Was this specifically for the Switch version or something like that? Maybe that.
Yeah,
version?
he was a Nintendo editor.
Okay, so I don't know when Switch versions went out. We got PS4.
They came out a little bit
weeks
later.
early. Okay. All right.
So a week or two at least.
I'm just trying to walk through the thought process or just the logistics of how something like this happens. You have probably a relatively junior member of staff, and again, I'm speculating. I don't even know who would be afraid to say, "Hey, I'm not getting this done."
Yeah.
Hey, this game's fucking hard. Hey, I haven't made enough progress to feel like I can review it, and then they turn in something anyway.
Yeah.
And they take this shortcut.
Jesus.
That's the only scenario I can envision in my head.
Same.
You ask for more time.
Sure.
Yep.
In these situations, if you need it, you take it.
Setting aside the ethical issue, though, I just don't know how, with the scrutiny that everything gets in 2018, you feel like you can get away with something like this.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
It's video. It's not written down, right?
So is it
what he
it's
took from
phrases from a video that got
Yes.
used in a
Yeah.
Like there are too many people looking at too many things too often for somebody not to notice these
Yep.
similarities.
No,
Like,
yeah.
just-
I mean, social media and all this other stuff, like anyone, anyone can get at anyone at any time and say, hey, did you see this? And, like there's no...
all it takes is one Reddit post for this to become a very thorny issue for IGN to have to deal with.
Seriously. Because now they've got to go back through his other stuff.
Yeah, that was the...
That
didn't even hit me at first until I saw somebody point it out, but like, yeah, that calls into question other work this person has done.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's practically a career ender at that point.
Yeah.
Because you're like, all right, well, that's like, who's going to hire that person next?
Going back and going forward. You
Right.
gotta,
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Like,
that's
if
a
he
loss.
goes forward.
There's a reason that names like Jason Blair are so infamous.
So the site that was plagiarized. So he's looking for like compensation,
Well,
right?
the tweet, his response to when the review was tweeted out, his response says, "No hate, man, but I wish I was cited, collaborated with, and or compensated in some way
Right.
for the healthy views your site saw on your Dead Cells review."
Right. So he does want some form.
So
of,
I don't know if that's just him kind of
no, I read something
being at a loss, or if he
I forgot
is there-
who
is he actually
interviewed him.
seeking something somewhere
Yeah,
else?
that he was seeking compensation, because they did get a bunch of like advertising money for those impressions or whatever. And that he did,
Ad game being what it is, I would not call it a bunch of money
Yeah,
on
I
a
know.
Dead Cells review.
Yeah.
those were his words.
But sure.
Those were his words. And that he doesn't want this person fired.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's
I mean,
it's
I mean,
not-
It's like, but if you
It's
are
out-
going to
it's out
fire
of your
him, you know
hands.
who wrote
Yeah.
the original review.
Right.
Well, whatever. I mean, they will conduct their investigation and make their own managerial decisions, but I don't see any way that you don't part ways with somebody in a
and this-
situation
It
like
also
this.
sucks for everyone else at IGN who's like
Yeah.
doing a really, good job of trying being journalists. It's just like, oh, it's so easy now for people to be like, oh, IGN, blah, 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 plagiarism. It's a bummer.
The thing I'd say though is that like once, and when we get this, like people have made up their minds about IGN one way or the other. And
It's just fuel for like trolls.
it is, yeah. And so like, but the thing I learned after years of trying to make sure reviews were as buttoned up as possible, they've got plenty of fuel.
Sure.
They're going to be there being shitty one way or the other. You never want to give them any bit of rope, obviously, but whatever.
You're saying haters going to hate.
Yeah, exactly. People are going to suck ass. Suck asses are going to suck ass, is what I would say.
And the sucker's gonna suck ass.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. You're right. It's hard to see a way through this where this person is still employed unless it's just a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, I don't see how.
Because I mean, the problem is exactly what you say. This gives people a massive amount of ammunition to impugn their credibility as an outlet, unless they take a clear stand.
Yes, that would
Like,
that would be the one case. If they were to go forward and keep this person on, then suddenly you've got new fucking meat for people to grab onto.
Like broadly, it is just a massive hit to their
Meat
credibility.
grabber's going to grab.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like it's just it's a big hit to their credibility, and the only way they can kind of like wash their hands of that is to say, no, we disavow this entirely.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that review, even if they conduct an investigation and find like somehow like, oh well, it sure is weird. It's a weird coincidence. I guess we'll see how it goes. And they never put this text back up.
Definitely not.
Even in a case where you did have some coincidence, like they replaced the text.
Yeah.
This game gets re-reviewed.
Yeah.
By someone else. Gets a new score. Gets a new everything. That's I feel like the bare minimum. Even if you found no wrongdoing somehow.
It's a high score. 97.
It's a good fucking game.
It's pretty good. But yeah, like you said, it's a really unfortunate situation for the other people at IGN doing good work.
He was just too busy playing the really good game. Couldn't be,
Who's got time to write anymore? Here's the secret. Just don't write the review in the first place. Talk about it on the podcast.
IGN Dead Cells review plagiarism kerfuffle last week. Kind of pretty early on. I think that stuff had just broken that morning.
Yeah.
Or maybe the night before when
I
we started
think,
talking about it.
IGN had maybe taken the review down, but they were still in an investigation phase.
Yeah.
Later on that day, last Tuesday, they would terminate
they let him
the
go
writer of the review.
that same day. He went radio silent for a few days.
Right.
And then he posted a video that was effectively his response to the whole controversy on YouTube, I think Friday afternoon?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I haven't seen because he then quickly took it down.
I ended up catching it after UPF.
I watched it.
And it was not an apology, really.
No.
It was...
he starts out by saying, I want to take full responsibility of what happened.
Yeah.
It's something when you're like the head of
any
a team or something like that. It's like one of my employees screwed up, but you know what? I lead this team. I take full responsibility for the action. This was not an accident, as he called it. He said it was purely coincidental. Or
the
whatever.
only thing I think I have to say about this, in light of that, like after that video, is there's the point where, as he's trying to say that this was an accident or something, he kind of has some half words or half formed thoughts about like, oh, well, this is, it's in terms of research and all this other stuff. And, kind of all reviewers do this.
No.
Like, no, they fucking don't.
No, they do not.
No, they motherfucking don't.
Yeah, like what?
Like, that's not how this works. And if I had someone working for me in a reviews capacity that was like, oh yeah, I read everyone else's stuff on a game and then write my take, they'd be like, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, or you need to stop doing that, or you need to never write a review again, because like the whole point of the review is here's your take on the game, not here's your take on someone else's research on the game.
Like I wouldn't read other reviews because I was afraid that like subconsciously some of their views would come out like without me even realizing it. Like I might start parroting somebody else. You know what I mean? Like that power of suggestion is there.
I've had, over the years, you occasionally will have like limited discussions with someone else who is reviewing a game, almost inadvertently. And in the, like, here where we've got two publications kind of working side by side, there's been cases where it's like, oh, what'd you think of that thing? Like, oh, I think it's terrible. I'm like, oh, our guy's giving it an 8 or whatever the Crew 2 got on GameSpot. And, like situations like that, where it'll kind of come up inadvertently, but you're never seeking that out. I
will say the one case where that's useful is typically when you get games in for review, there's next to no documentation. There's certainly no like walkthroughs or facts or breakdowns or any of that stuff out there. So like there have been cases like with The Witness where
we get stuck and
not even just get stuck, but like you find something amazing and inscrutable and you like run over there because you're just excited about it. Like, did you find this thing? Like
literally
only
one other person you can talk to because of this thing you're excited about. Yeah. So
I talked to Mike Mahardy a ton about The Witness because every time you found one of those crazy things, you were like, dude, what does this mean? Like this is crazy.
Yeah. But
that's kind of the only context I can think of where that's really appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, so the idea that you're like comparing notes with other people that have, especially a game like Dead Cells that has been in early access forever, all this other stuff, it's like...
The things you research are like facts and like documented things, you can go and like read about the studio and like go read about their progress and other types of video games and stuff, like stuff that is not editorialized.
Yeah, or like if it's a sequel or something and you're like, oh, could you double jump in the previous game? I guess I need to look that up.
Yeah.
And, you could either go play the game or go read something about it to determine one way or the other. And so there are very limited cases like that, but never deep research on this game I'm writing a review of. That is just not how it goes.
Yeah.
So that was the part for me where I was just like, man, that is, if people think that's how reviewing games works, it is not. And if that is how you're out there reviewing games, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like the hey, here's my take on a thing is the easy part. Like that's the kind of ridiculous part about the whole thing is like, why would you? That's the thing you're supposed to be doing, is forming an opinion on the thing. Why would you outsource that bit of it?
Yeah.
Like if you were specifically like trying to cut time and save time, that's not even the corner to cut.
Yeah.
Like it's just,
it's the core of the job. I mean,
it's
like
weird.
you're not doing the job if
right.
you're not doing that.
Like, so that was the part for me where I was just like, man, fuck that, because that is not how games are reviewed.
Yeah.
And if that's how people are out there reviewing games and thinking that's how you do it, don't.
So I didn't see the video, but I've got there's a write-up on Kotaku here that quotes from it extensively, so I can more or less see what he said. It looks like he apologized to the other people at IGN.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
And kind of
Hang
says,
on.
and
I just want to apologize to everybody at IGN for all of the undeserved criticism and doubt that, well, okay, I guess he's talking about criticism toward other employees.
There's a chunk in there kind of saying like that, IGN should not have been dragged into this and
which is
all
true.
this sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of thought he was talking about himself. Apparently, look, this says he did not apologize to Boomstick Gaming, the channel that he.
It's like they are mentioned in a way of like, oh, hey, keep doing. I don't remember the exact verbiage.
Props to IGN, because I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, you guys need to give. It's a weird sentiment, but it's like a lot of people saying, oh, you need to give Boomstick all the ad revenue that you made, which is not really how the internet works in the internet business. But to their credit, they said like, we are working with that channel to make it right. Like it seems like IGN is taking the proper steps as a company on this issue, which is good. It's not always the case.
So he also kind of issued a challenge to Kotaku, because Jason Schreier really took up this issue and ran with it. He said, "You can keep looking, Kotaku, and please let me know if you find anything."
There have been some things.
I don't know why he was inviting further investigation, because like the examples that keep coming out of this are more and more damning.
New ones as of this.
It's not even like it's not even like Kotaku doing a ton of digging. It sounds like that just other people are transcribing some of his other videos from before he was at IGN and like pumping those transcripts into Google and coming back with forum posts and all kinds of
Wikipedia
stuff.
pages.
You're just like
the one that got me was I saw a video this morning about the HD Rumble on the Switch, and it is word for word, like, because people were looking at these text comparisons and saying like, oh, there's a bunch of phrases changed, like, I don't know, but this thing is word for word an entire post from NeoGAF. Cool. Verbatim, top to bottom.
And it's not only that, but it starts with him saying, I did a little bit of research, and then immediately goes
sure
into
did.
And then he like mispronounced one of the words in the forum post he was reading, which just made me think he didn't even try to understand.
Does this guy even play games?
I don't
like
what
the cherry on top of it is this, of course, because we live in modern times, that apology video is monetized, and
if you have a channel that's monetized and upload a video, it's monetized by default. So
it's not. But you maybe want to take extra precautions if you're trying to save face, which I guess he wasn't even doing because he wasn't even apologizing.
Yeah, so. The video was so terrible.
It was so like YouTube edited to like.
I had nothing else to pull from, I guess. So
I don't know.
Yeah, but to double down.
While it's down.
Knowing that all this other evidence is out there.
And, there's stuff in there where he said, like, hey, my family has got, like, people shouldn't be out there fucking harassing this dude in a personal way, like,
the guy has already torpedoed his own career. Like, just let him be. Like, there's nothing to be gained by exacting vengeance on his family.
There's no point to that. If anything, it's just like now the situation is just like, well, if you're IGN, are you pulling everything that guy ever generated for the site?
That is absolutely the big question to me.
And what do they do from here? Because now you
you have to put people on scrutinizing all his work and trying to figure out if
at some point, like, is it worth going through that, or do you just assume the worst and say we're pulling all of it because it's the only way
I meant as opposed to doing nothing. Like, you can't just leave all his other stuff up and not investigate it. Right?
If you do, it comes up again and again, and at some point you're like addressing this thing for a longer period of time than it's worth doing. Like, at some point you're like, hey, we are yanking all this stuff down, or putting an editor's note next to it saying, at bare minimum, saying like, hey, fucking, here's the situation with this stuff. We hope it's his original work. But at some point, like, is his original work, does that have any value? If so much of his work keeps coming back from other sources, like, what is his opinion worth in this case? What are his actual thoughts on games? Can you trust them? Do they, like all this other stuff gets called into.
In that case, it is probably safer.
It really sucks for IGN, and there's no, like I've seen some people be like, "Oh, IGN should have done it." But it's like, no, what are you gonna,
it's not.
The idea is that you're trusting these people because you're hiring them and all this other stuff, and this person betrayed his employer's trust in a very grand fashion. I don't know that you evolve a policy beyond this, other than maybe your hiring policy of making sure that someone's stuff is their own. But once you bring them in, if you've vetted them to the point where you've hired them, presumably you trust them enough to where you're not, like running all their work through some kind of
Turn it in
search
.com.
engine.
Yeah,
Turn it in .com. Yeah.
In this day and age, that's logistically impossible anyway. Like there are way too many small-time YouTube channels out there that aren't searchable through text, and like you just could not possibly.
Yeah, I don't know how you would prevent something like this from happening other than being better at vetting up front.
Yeah.
And maybe they could have caught some of this stuff before they brought this guy on. I don't know. That's I feel bad for the people at IGN getting dragged into this by this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's rough.
Yeah.